Information can be derived from the display. There are two basic forms of information: point related, a tooltip on string contact, and status, which is distance dimension related from a data panel. Status can also be accessed from a toolbar. Select View Preferences to set up tooltip information required and decimal places. The tooltip gives instant status and changes as cursor moves. When two or more strings lie under the cursor, the double arrow symbol will be shown. Click the right hand mouse button to toggle through to the next string in the list. The tab key can also scroll through the string information. A Miniframe window leaves the tooltip appearing in the same position at all times. The window can be placed anywhere on the screen. The current string can be displayed in magenta by turning on the highlight status element. If the background of the tooltip turns red, it shows that the DGN has become out of sync with the model file. Use Display Plan with Style Set to refresh the drawing. Status can be accessed from the MX menu, but it is a lot easier to activate the status toolbar through View Toolbar. The following functions can be accessed: curve to 3 points, distance gradient between 2 points, point information, measure crossfall and gradient at a string point, hide delete from graphics, show hidden graphics, and manipulate text. Point selection methods, or PSMs, are MX snaps and can be set temporarily on the right hand mouse button or set globally in the frame selector below the MX graphics panel. The single pick multi-pick setting is for defining how points are selected from the screen. For example, with the point selection method set to intersect, single pick requires one click of the cursor over the intersection of two strings. The XY coordinates are returned. If multi-pick is selected, this requires 3 clicks. The first and second strings for the intersection, and a further pick near the intersection of the strings. This is useful when there are many strings in the area of interest. Curve to 3 points reports the radius and circle center of the selected points. Distance gradient between 2 points shows the gradient and level difference output if both of the selected points have levels. Measure distance and crossfall. Picking a point on a design road centerline outputs the crossfall to the carriageway edge, and the gradient along the reference string is displayed. The annotation arrows reverse when crossfall or gradient is negative. Using the icons, you can move along the string from point to point using the forward and back arrows, and also set the output options. To set up the MX Tooltip Preferences, we go View, Preferences. We have Tooltip Configuration. I'm going to check Display Status Tooltips. I also want to check Highlight Status Element so that I will see the element selected in purple, and I will also see an arrow showing me the nearest string point. I'm going to set decimal places to 3. Data to display on the right, I'm going to leave all of the default settings checked, and I will select OK. Placing the cursor on an MX feature will give tooltip information. When 2 or more strings lie under the cursor, there will be a double arrow shown, and you can tab through the concurrent string information. A Miniframe window leaves the tooltip appearing on the screen at all times. This window can also be placed anywhere on the screen. If highlight status element is selected, then the current string will be displayed in magenta, and there will be an arrow showing the direction of the feature and the nearest point. Status can be accessed through View, Status. We have curve to 3 points, distance gradient between 2 points, point information, and measure crossfall and gradient. An easier way to access these functions is through View Toolbars. There's the status toolbar. The first icon is curve through 3 points. If I select the icon, I can pick 3 points from the display. I left click again, and I get my third point, and the output is shown, a radius and the center of the radius. If I reset, I can pick 3 different points. Next is distance gradient between 2 points. I left click on the icon on the toolbar and I select a point from the display and I pick another point, and because both of these points have elevations, not only do I get a plan distance, I get slope distance, gradient and level difference. I'm going to reset, and I now want to measure a distance along a existing hedge line that cuts 2 features in the MX survey. Point will not do as my snap. I'm going to set a snap on the right hand mouse button. I go right hand mouse button, and here are the MX point selection methods, and I'm going for intersection. It is also worth noting that I am on single pick as my pick mode, and all I do is I put my cursor over the approximate intersection and left click. I can now repeat that for my second point. I put my cursor in the panel, I go right hand mouse button, intersection, and yet again I place my cursor over the approximate intersection of the existing hedge with the survey feature. And again we can see here that we have a plan distance. MX found the intersection because they were relatively simple intersections, just 2 strings. Another method of setting the MX point selection method is go down to the bottom panel here and I left click and I set my point selection method to intersection. This will permanently set the snap. If I left click now on distance gradient between 2 points, the point selection method is already set at intersection, and all that's required, because I'm still on single pick, is left click on the approximate intersection, click back in the panel to switch focus to the second point, and I pick intersection again and I get the same answer. So you have 2 methods for setting the point selection methods. In any panel where you have a snap, you can right click and set the snap on the fly, or you can come down to the bottom here and you can permanently set the snap. It's just a method of working, the choice is yours. I am now going to demonstrate multi-pick. I'm down on the bottom panel here for my pick mode, and I'm going to select multi-pick. I have set my point selection method to intersect. I go back into distance gradient between 2 points. Intersection is the current snap. Now this is where I need to pay attention to the bottom of my screen. This is a 3-click pick because I am a multi-pick, and it's asking me for the first intersecting string. I'm going to pick the hedge. Doesn't matter where I pick it, all I'm selecting is the feature. MX then asks for the second intersecting string, and I'm going to pick the second feature for the intersection. There is then a final click I need to pick an coordinate near the required intersection, so an approximate pick just in case there is more than one intersection, so I left click. I can repeat this for the second intersection. I pick the first intersecting string, which is the hedge, the second intersecting string, the other survey feature, and I left click at the approximate intersection. 3 clicks, I get the same planned distance. Now this is very useful when you have multiple strings in the same area. I look at measure distance and crossfall. I'm just going to put my pick mode back to single pick, and I'm not going to preset the snap. I tend to work this way and turn them on as and when required. Now for measure crossfall and gradient at string point. First of all, I'm going to look at the options, where I can set a zoom factor, annotation options, left side, right side for cross sections. There's also width level difference. I'm leaving it as the default. I'll hit OK, and I'm going to select a point on a surveyed road centerline, and I'm hoping to get the crossfall and gradient out to the existing channel. So I left click and I get an automatic zoom which shows me the long fall along the centerline and the crossfalls left and right of the centerline. I can move down the string. If I left click the black arrow, it gradually moves down the surveyed centerline, or I can move back and it automatically zooms. Very, very useful for checking existing or design crossfalls. It is also important that you have continuous strings for the surveyed strings or design strings.